Let's dive right in, shall we? Today we're exploring the early life and the absolutely meteoric rise of one of the 14th century's most legendary empire builders, Amir Timur. But look, we aren't just going to sit here and recount dusty old myths. We are looking at the undeniable physical evidence. We're talking tangible artifacts and the actual written rules of a man who built an empire that stretched all the way from the Mediterranean to India.
It really all comes down to one massive question. How on earth did a boy from a nomadic clan rise up to become the absolute most powerful ruler in the Islamic world? To truly understand Timur, we have to strip away all those grand legends and anchor ourselves in reality. And to do that, we actually need to start at the very end. Because Amir Timur wasn't just some mythical character in a storybook, he was a flesh and blood conqueror. Back in June of 1941, his tomb in the Ghor-e-Amir Mausoleum in Samarkand was actually exhumed by a team of Soviet anthropologists, including Mikhail Gerasimov, Lev Oshanin, and V.Y. Zezenkova. This gives us an incredibly rare, totally undeniable physical connection to the past. I mean, they didn't just find old bones, they uncovered the literal biological story of a warrior.
Mikhail Gerasimov, the lead anthropologist, actually reconstructed the man's face and body, and the findings? Timur was about 5 feet 8 inches tall, which was actually quite tall for his era. He had this massive broad chest and, surprisingly, traces of reddish hair and a beard were still visible. But you know what the most telling detail was? He had a fused right knee joint and a withered right arm. These were the very real injuries from his youth that gave him his famous historical moniker Timur the Lame, or, as you might know him, Tamerlane.
Section 1. Roots of the Barlas clan. So looking through the lens of a 14th century visual legacy, we can anchor ourselves right in the year 1336. Timur was born in the small village of Khoja Ilgar, near Kesh, which is modern-day Sharasabs. His father, Amir Taragai, and his mother, Takinakhoten, belonged to the Barlas. This was a Turkicized tribe that was deeply rooted in the region's constantly shifting political landscape. In the Barlas clan, they lived a rugged, highly mobile lifestyle. In this Turkicized nomadic culture, your survival and your status were anchored by an absolute mastery of horse riding, hunting, and archery. Just imagine a young Timur essentially living his entire life in the saddle, mastering the bow. These were the foundational, everyday skills that would eventually allow him to conquer entire continents.
But, there was actually another side to his upbringing. His father, Amir Taragai, wasn't really all that interested in war. He was a deeply pious man who preferred hanging out with religious scholars. The magnificent mausoleum that Timur later built for him in Kesh still stands today as a tangible physical monument. And it's important because it shows us that Timur's foundation also included this really deep respect for Islamic spiritual traditions.
Section 2. The Climb to Power. Fast forward to the 1360s, and the region of Movarau Nahalar had just completely fractured. There was no strong central ruler anywhere. It was a total mess of deadly feudal wars, which were only compounded by invasions from Mogolistan. So Timur had to navigate this unbelievable chaos. He was serving different lords, forming strategic marriages, and constantly fighting just to survive.
We can really break his ascent down into 3 major steps. Step 1, he forged a really powerful yet kind of fragile alliance with Amir Hussein, the ruler of Balkh. Step 2, together they faced this massive Mongol army in 1365 at the infamous Mud Battle. Now this is a crazy historical moment. A torrential rainstorm basically turned the battlefield into a giant quagmire, making their cavalry completely useless and forcing Timur and Hussein into a disastrous retreat. But Timur, he learned from every single defeat. Which leads us to step 3. By 1370, after brilliantly outmaneuvering his former ally Hussein, Timur was officially declared the supreme ruler at a grand Kurultai, or council, in the city of Balkh.
Section 3. Symbols of the New Empire. So, once you're in charge, how do you actually unify a bunch of independent nomadic warlords? Well, you use highly visible objects of power. When Timur conquered a territory, he didn't just hand out bags of gold. If an emir showed exceptional bravery, Timur personally bestowed upon them a banner, known as an alam, and a kettle drum, or litavre. These definitely weren't just musical instruments or pieces of cloth. Bestowing these items literally transformed a rugged warrior into a recognized, state-sanctioned commander.
And he definitely didn't stop there. He created a whole hierarchy of these physical symbols. The absolute highest commanders received the chortug, which was a special military standard, and the burgu, a massive horn.
He also handed out the highly coveted title of Bahadur, meaning hero. By distributing these tangible physical rewards, Timur built a brilliantly structured and fiercely loyal military machine.
Section 4. The 12 Rules.
But an army alone doesn't sustain an empire, right? Timur needed the Ulujania, which is more widely known as the Tuziklar, or the Institutes of Timur. Now, this wasn't just some personal diary. It was the ultimate architectural blueprint for his entire state. It meticulously outlined military formations, political structures, and exactly how his officials were supposed to conduct themselves.
Right at the very heart of this document was one core philosophy: justice is in strength, or rosti rusty. Timur firmly believed that a state simply couldn't survive on military might alone. It had to be balanced by absolute legal fairness. The idea was that if a ruler was truly strong, they then had the capacity to enforce pure, uncompromising justice.
The really crucial takeaway from the Tuzuklar is this incredible synthesis he achieved. He took the strict, merit-based discipline of his Central Asian nomadic Barlas roots, and he fused it perfectly with the highly organized, structured order of Islamic legal culture. It resulted in a completely unique, hybrid system of governance.
So we've traced his incredible rise, from the physical bones examined in 1941, through the rugged plains and muddy battlefields, all the way to the tangible symbols of his power. He built his rule on strict discipline and the absolute belief that justice requires strength. So it really makes you wonder, how does the legacy of this 14th century conqueror still echo in the way modern states are built and governed today? It's definitely something to think about the next time you look at the symbols of authority in our own world. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the history around you.